looking for you.
Seventh already.
Yeah, I had to go around.
Look at you, Tom.
Went in ambulance and fire truck and to the PD guys, but right there, you're welcome, yeah.
I wore my shirt.
Oh, was it?
But somebody was doing that while I wasn't
They're
here.
over there right now.
Me too.
I'm excited for tonight's today.
I'm excited. I can be out here about 6:45 and off for dinner.
Oh, you. That's his
He
bet.
needs to talk fast.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no, you got Jay here.
But extended reservation.
Still nothing.
And we'll share that one.
When you get to that part.
Those messages, shall I? No. Saw it there.
The study session of January 27th, 2026 is called to order. All right, Mary, can you please roll call?
Yes, I will. Councilmember Blush,
Here.
Councilmember Stearns,
Here.
Councilmember Anisco,
Here.
Mayor Sherman.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sapp,
Here.
Councilmember Gilmore,
Here.
Councilmember Gutierrez.
Here.
All right. We're having department reports tonight, and our acting city manager, Jay Harris, will provide more context regarding department reports tonight.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, your acting city manager. Mark will be back next week on Monday. I hope he's having a good trip in Mexico. So tonight we have some staff reports. I'm thinking it's gonna take 45 minutes. Anyways, about an hour probably is what we're looking at here. And so we're gonna have the city clerk is gonna give and this is your first report, isn't it? This is all of our first report. So every month we will be giving updates from each department. So the first study session is like half the city, and the second study session, the second half of the city. So Mary, it's all yours.
Okay. So good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, members. I'm here on behalf of the city clerk's office for December 2025. The clerk's office is a small but mighty team of two, and I tried to include information in your packets about some of the essential functions that we do in the clerk's office. Probably the biggest is right at the top, which is public records. We are the custodians for public records for the city. I'm the city's public records officer. It takes up a good chunk of my time. In the month of December, the clerk's office received 11 new public records requests, and we closed 11 requests. And something I want to highlight is that it's not necessarily the same 11. Often public records requests are pretty easy. They're looking for very specific information about a particular address or something. But occasionally we'll get requests that will linger on for months. Larger requests that we need a lot of clarifying information about, things like that. So the fact that it's 11 and 11 is kind of a coincidence more than necessarily the same 11. The estimate of total staff time, that's an estimate. We work with the departments. Each department in the city has a records designee, which they're the expert on their department's records, because I cannot know everything about every department's records. And when a department is working on a request, we ask the designee to give us a rough estimate of how long it took them to locate the records. We don't track it to the second per se, but it's an estimate. Another big part of what we do in the clerk's office is special event permits. We work with event applicants throughout the permitting process. And again, kind of like with public records, the clerk's office, we're kind of the hub between the applicant or the member of the public and the rest of the city. So in December, 3 permitted events occurred, which are the Christmas Town Camp Grisdale, the Holiday Parade, and the Holiday Magic Night of the Lights. Those events, they apply for those permits way in advance, like months in advance, and we work with Public Works, the fire department, the police department, Parks and Recreation to gather all of those departments, their comments or their conditions for their permit. And we work with the applicant to make sure that they understand what the city is asking them to do. You know, everybody's hopefully on the same page about the permit conditions. We received 2 new applications in December for upcoming events. The Shelton Downtown Car Show, which actually isn't until July, to give you an idea of, we love when people apply way in advance. It gives us plenty of time to work with the applicants and make sure, especially when it's like somebody who hasn't maybe done an event before, it can be kind of overwhelming. We require insurance, which can be kind of confusing. And then the Mason County Point in Time Count, which is actually happening on Friday. That's a permitted event through the special event process. Okay, feel free to stop me if any of you have any questions, because I'm kind of.
Insurance certificate for people, right?
Council meetings. I lurk back there in the corner every Tuesday. We in the clerk's office, we provide admin support for you all for council meetings. Special meeting notices and public notices, that can be anything from if a quorum of you all want to ride on the city float in the Christmas parade, we have to notice that. The admin support assistant Giselle and I, we work on noticing that. Public notices, that's for things like the budget. There's a specific list of items that when the council takes up, we have to notice it separately than like say an agenda or something like that. So we issued 6 in December. I thought this was kind of interesting. Your packet information. In December, we processed 367 pages of packet information for all of you. Giselle, my admin support assistant, and myself, we take on the packets. It's a kind of onerous process. The other departments are really great at getting us the information, but we try to check for typos, resolution numbers, making sure the motions that we're recommending make sense for all of you, things like that. So that's a pretty big part of Giselle, my admin support assistant, her day on Fridays is often packet day. In December, the council passed 1 ordinance and 12 resolutions. When you all pass a resolution or an ordinance, stuff happens. Once you all sign it, the mayor or the council, we have to process it for things like you had a resolution in December for like signature authority. We have to follow up the staff people. They're like, where's my resolution? So we try to keep on top of getting those processed and so that the departments know, hey, your resolutions we passed and finalized.
And then ordinances get sent to code.
Yes, yeah, so we, the municipal code is online as well as in a big binder in my office. I work with Code Publishing to get them the electronic versions of all of our ordinances. They're really great. They also communicate with me if anything looks weird about the numbering or, hey, when does this actually go into effect? This is kind of confusing. So they really keep us in check on the logistics for ordinances, which I really appreciate. So that's kind of the clerk's office kind of core functions. The second half of this is more communication stuff, because in addition to being the city clerk, I'm still doing communications part of my job for, I think all of you know that originally I was hired as the communications specialist for the city, and the city clerk. It's kind of a new position for me. So I'll just go through some of that really fast. The website, sheltonlaw.gov. I included some information in here about kind of engagement time. The average engagement time per active user, 23 seconds, which seems really low, but unfortunately that's pretty average for the internet and the type of website that we have. The top landing pages, so a landing page is just a page on the website that people click on. So we have animal control, how to pay my utility bill, and employment opportunities. And I've been tracking this kind of info myself the whole time that I've worked here for the most part, and it's usually those three are usually the most common, questions or pages that people visit. So that's not unusual for December. The city app, you've heard a little bit about the city app from other departments, but me as the clerk, I'm kind of the administrator for it. So I work with the departments if they have new employees who need to be added, who need to be receiving storm or street or Parks and Rec. I also, if we have a new issue type that we need to add, I do that, make sure that that's set up. So this info, especially the issues reported and stuff, it's not the clerk's office doing, but it's something that I work with them as kind of a technical person to help if there's something weird or, they don't remember how to close something or things like that. Last on the back, I have it printed, but social media. So we have a Facebook account that's pretty active, the city's Facebook. In December, the Facebook account had 111 new followers, 12 posts in December. That's probably partially because I was out of the office for a couple weeks. So we'll see in January. I'm kind of figuring out how I'm balancing all of this still. So, and then, views is just the number of times your content was played or displayed. And then visits is number of times your page was visited. And then just other projects at the bottom, the clerk's office, we kind of coordinated staff attending a First Amendment auditor training that was put on by MRSC to get our customer service and kind of frontline staff accustomed to the idea of what a First Amendment auditor is and hearing from some experts about what to do when approached by one, because it can be kind of intimidating if you've never heard of a First Amendment auditor before. And Giselle, my new admin support assistant, she attended a 2-day Public Records Act boot camp training hosted by the Attorney General's office in McCleary. She is my backup if I'm out of the office for public records stuff. So getting her trained up on that. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you all have about the clerk's office. If there's anything you don't see on here that you want me to kind of look into to track more, I'm happy to do that too.
So this is sort of the first shot in metrics, so we can put more in here or less as a filter.
That's true too.
And because we want to have economy of time also. And so, I mean, this first one's going to take a little longer, right? Because we're explaining things. So in the future, the metrics will still be there. But if you folks want to see something different, email Mark or me or Mary on this particular one, and we can add something or remove some things if you wish.
Yeah, on the staff time for the public records, is that your time or
That's
combined?
everybody. Yeah, that's anybody who, for this, it would be anybody who responded to a request in December.
And this is a low count for.
Yes, it's a rough estimate, so that,
I meant the number of cases is kind of low compared to what you.
it's kind of, I think it's kind of high, but I guess we'll see in January, but because and really each request is, some requests take like a day to respond to, some take multiple weeks, so it really, and they come up at any time, which is the fun of public records.
Redact a lot of stuff.
Thankfully, we don't have to that often. There's a very specific kind of list put out by the state of what we redact, so we don't have to very often. Oh, something that I should point out with public records too is that we don't handle the police department's public records. They handle theirs completely separate, as well as the court. The court and the police department, they handle their own records. I'm very thankful for that, because they're much more complicated and have much more redactions.
I just want to give you thanks for getting our council meeting straight and issuing all the minutes. Keeping everything transparent, because there were some people who were saying, oh, you guys are hiding stuff. I go, no, everything's there on paper, and there's, if you
Yeah.
don't want to read all that stuff, there's a one-page
Yeah,
thing,
yeah,
you know? So, thank you for keeping everything up to date and
Absolutely.
up to code.
yeah,
And, making sure that everyone knows that we're being transparent here at the city of Shelton.
absolutely.
And catching resolution numbers that are in multiple places. That's a constant issue. The last place I was at, it seemed like almost every other meeting, the question came up, hey, it says this here and that there and whatever. And you guys do a good job on that. And I try to catch things like that too before it even gets to her, because it's easy to type in a wrong number, one digit off, whatever it is.
Transposed to.
Yep,
It
yep.
happens, really. All right, cool.
So,
Thank you.
Leandra, HR.
Yes. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. So I'll give an overview of the functions in the Human Resources and Risk Management departments. I'll start off with risk management, and I'll go into detail about how claims are processed and the risk pools that we are members of. So the first risk pool is Washington City's Insurance Authority, WCIA, and Association of Washington Cities, AWC. I'm sure you're familiar with the training programs and like Public Records Act, and as new council members that they offer. We are members of an insurance risk pool as opposed to like an insurance commercial market, because there are so many benefits that we receive. Some are, financial stability, predictable cost. It's member-driven, nonprofit, which helps stabilize its premiums. And in the event that there is a large claim or unexpected event that occurs, the cost of the claim is spread across agencies that are other agencies who are members of these pools, so that the claim cost doesn't impact the city's budget alone. It is spread out, which is a huge benefit. There are also other benefits to being a member. There are risk assessment services. We receive educational and safety training and other resources that just help us reduce our claim cost over time. So with Washington City's Insurance Authority, they help us manage our property, auto property, and liability claims. So here's a scenario. A resident comes to the city and they drove over a pothole, popped their tire. They're going to fill out a claim for damages form. I review that form, it gets notarized. In this case, I would reach out to the Public Works Department. I ask for comments, any pictures, any information that they can have. I collect that information, send it off to WCIA. Then they assign a claims adjuster to that claim. And then they take it over from there and they work with the claimant, just relieving some of that burden off of for me. So I'm not managing it all the way through, but I am in constant contact with them throughout that process. And then they'll email me at the end, letting me know the outcome of that claim. If there is, say, a pole that is damaged by a city employee or anyone, a resident, of course, there's another form that is completed. That form is reviewed by supervisors. The department director reviews that, and we make sure that there's comments, pictures taken, say even like a sewage backup. We want to make sure that we're out there we're gathering as much information as we can. We send that to WCIA, and then they again assign an adjuster or an investigator to take that over on our behalf and manage that through.
Just one quick thing on the sewer backups. It could be a mainline backup, which is our responsibility, but each lateral to each structure is that person's responsibility. So a lot of times their line gets blocked. And then the first thing to do is say it's the city's problem. So we always go out there and we check the main line and for any of our backups.
And so there's also a property and auto register, asset register that I maintain. So I work with departments and send out information twice a year. I'm asking for any property, any new autos, anything that's an asset. We need to get that on the register so that it's protected, it's insured. So monitoring that closely. In December, we had 2 new claims and 2 ongoing claims. It's an ebb and flows. I would say December was a low month for claims. Sometimes it's higher. Summertime, it gets a little higher. So under Association of Washington Cities, liability, so that's employee bodily injuries that occur. So the employee again will complete an incident report. That report goes through the supervisor's review, then the department head. I receive that. I send it off to AWC. And they will send that off to the Department of Labor and Industry. So they are the liaison between the city and Department of Labor and Industries. And after it's reviewed, then I receive an OSHA form. So there's lots of paperwork involved in in processing claims. So I'm glad that I have these. We're members of these risk pools.
So Leandra, if I got hurt on the job, I lifted something and hurt my back, how does that get worked out as an employee?
As an employee, complete the incident report. It doesn't matter what it is. If you sprain your finger, cut a paper cut, I want to know what it is because paper cut can lead to an infection. So whatever it is, I request that they fill out that incident report. The supervisor also provides comments in that form. It asks like, could this have been avoided? Well, what are some other safety measures that you could have taken or things of that nature? And then the department head reviews it as well, adds input. I review it and then AWC reviews it and then they take it from there. I have to say that our department, our agency, like we had 0 claims in December and we have 1 active claim. So, and that is safety training, that is education, training. And our public works director, the team, the supervisors, all departments do a really good job of identifying hazards in the city, working with team members just to make sure that we're staying up to date on any new changes. Just, I would say education, that plays a key role, a huge role.
And you also discuss it with the safety committee.
Yes,
And
the safety committee.
And they
Mhm.
discuss it and
Absolutely.
how to remedy in the future.
Yep. And so Association of Washington Cities also manages our employee benefit. So that's also something that they help us administer. And they also help with coordinating our quarterly random drug and alcohol testing for our CDL drivers. That's a requirement through the Department of Transportation. And also making sure that I am coordinating our monthly safety meetings. So that's in those meetings, we're identifying hazards where if there is a claim that arises, we're reviewing that claim. And as a committee, we're reviewing it and saying, how could this have been avoided? What training can we provide employees so then in the future we can avoid this? So it is really it's ongoing. Do you have any questions so far? Okay. So under the human resources purview, I manage the employee life cycle from recruitment to retirement or when the employee decides to leave. So in December, we had 5 authorized recruitments. And we've I mean, some of them are still ongoing. We have interviewed 6 candidates across 3 interview panels. And then that, along with that goes with the onboarding. So the process is during the recruitment phase is working with the city manager, department heads to identify the needs of the city, updating job descriptions, reclassifying job descriptions if positions if we need to, and then I'm posting that position to our NeoGov platform. And once we receive the candidates, I'm reviewing those with department leaders, and then we'll bring in our pool, we'll bring in our interview panel, and then we'll make a decision. After that decision has been made, then there's a reference check process and background check process, making sure that we do a thorough check. And then it goes to onboarding. During the onboarding process, we're making sure that we're reviewing our policies and procedures and setting the expectation for the new employee. We want to make sure that we provide them the resources so that they are successful in their role. We go over harassment training, effective communication, and of course, the Public Records Act training. City clerk would be proud. I mean, we make sure that we handle that just immediately so that once the employee is in their department, then they'll go through another onboarding phase. But the onboarding with me, it's benefits. We go over benefits. We pull payroll in and they review benefits, the retirements that's offered to employees. And we pull in Giselle, who's our new administrative support assistant. She is a part of the onboarding process. She will take a picture of the new employee and then we'll send out welcome information so that when the new employee is walking around, everyone knows who they are.
We don't see the new employee the first day.
Right, so.
They're doing all
Doing
sorts of things.
Yes, and it onboarding generally takes about a day. I mean, a full day of just, like I mentioned, reviewing policies and procedures and webinars. And then, of course, with onboarding, there's offboarding. There's always employees retiring or leaving. And so that's in activating accounts and making sure that city property is returned. So on to FMLA and PFML administration. So I manage that, the federal and leave benefits. In December, I issued 2 leave certifications. And of course, I'm continuously managing ongoing leave, active leave cases and making sure that we're compliant, that they're meeting their required hours before they're eligible for the benefits. And then once they hit that threshold of hours that are available to them, you know, that they're not exceeding those hours. So just managing that. Public records process, in December, processed 2 public records. Apart from what the city clerk sends me, I also receive records requests from prior or former employees. So they're often wanting their personnel records. They oftentimes have a potential employer requesting their file as well. So if those records haven't met their retention, then I have to gather those and send them to the requester. But I'm glad that we in the HR department, we have digitized all of our records. So it took about a 2-year process, but that has you know, aided in speeding up that process. I'm not thumbing through folders to get that information. And then if the records have met their retention, then I destroy them. So labor contract finalized in December 1, Shelton Employees Guild. I briefed council on that in December. Again, we have 3 unions who perform municipal services. And so the customer service, Shelton Employees Guild, and police. And our goal is to try to have a 3-year contract for each contract. Sometimes that doesn't work out that way, but for the most part, it's 3 years. HR advisory and confidential matters. I work closely with our departments, our leaders and the city manager on managing any employee concerns, employee matters, making sure that that sensitive information is confidential. And lastly, the projects and programs. We have a wellness program and we are in the process of deploying a workplace wellness workshops. That training will go out next month. We have a biannual health, wellness, and benefits fair that we offer to employees at Wells. So just working to provide wellness strategies to support employees, which of course in turn helps improve the organization. And lastly, deploy training programs. We have annual and ongoing training programs. Our monthly all hands meeting, the city manager provides updates. It gives a department leaders an opportunity to communicate their goals and any important projects to employees, supervise leadership development, of course, that safety training, which is important. And these trainings again help sharpen our employee skills, engagement. It boosts our confidence. It helps them grow and it helps us to retain top talent. Really important. Questions?
So Leander has a few things going on, as you can see. So for one person, and Giselle's helped too. It's this year, yeah, that's helped quite a bit too.
The trainings also help reduce our insurance liabilities as well.
Absolutely. Training is important. It is. And some trainings like the harassment, that's a required training every year. Sometimes we alternate, we'll bring in a facilitator, which employees tend to like, so do I. Instead of sitting at your, computer watching a webinar, I like more of the engagement training sessions.
So she also doesn't put like Public Works has training. We have forklift training, confined space training. Brent, help me here. Give me a bunch of training. Yeah.
Yeah.
On space.
So we track all that, who attended, what was the stuff, and get it to her to show that we've met a bunch of our requirements also.
And I work with, if there is an incident, like when I'm tracking incidents, if there say, I'm just gonna pick on Public Works. They're really good though, but if they're backing into objects, mailboxes or whatever, then that, to me, it triggers like, hey, we may need safety. We need training on this particular issue. So then I reach out to WCIA, I get a training schedule, and then they'll provide me information that I can pass on to department heads. So they both have a robust training offerings for the city.
I just wanted to express our gratitude for the professionalism that you're showing and that explaining to us the complexity and the work that HR does, and that running a city is a lot more complicated than people think. So thank you you're the right person at the right place at the right time.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad that you're getting a little bit of help and sharing that with your employee. So
Thank you. A lot of what I do is compliance. It's making sure that we're compliant, protecting the city and protecting employees.
Have we had a active shooter training for this building?
We had one, I want to say 2 years ago. There was an active shooter or 3. Paul Campbell was, I don't know. No, there was one after Campbell.
Yeah, one after
There was one after Campbell.
Last one
Oh,
was probably 2
2 years ago, we had an active shooter training.
We'll probably do again. We try to keep up, on things and something like that, especially when you get new employees. It's good to keep going over things like that. So it's good that we have experts in-house too that provide that training to us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finance, Terry,
Mhm.
this is really important stuff, okay? You guys got out of budget, you heard a lot from her,
Yeah.
but they do a lot more than just budget, so, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council. Just wanted to bring you tonight that the finance consists of basically 9 team members. We have 2 customer service specialists, 1 procurement specialist, 3 accountants, 1 budget coordinator / grant administrator, the IT manager, and then myself currently. So, and so I'll just go down the list. It's in alphabetical order. So accounts payable in December, we processed 608 invoices. That amount was just over $1.6 million, almost 1.7. And then we added 13 new vendors. And but also Vanessa processes the records retention. She takes care of all of our records and is very current on that, which is so appreciated. And the accounts receivable, this is a position that is not full-time, but it's about, maybe a quarter of a time, 3. So right now that's assigned to our payroll accountant that shares these duties. And so a lot of times the sewer department will bring over sludge load tickets for us to invoice the companies that brought the sludge from other entities to us. And there was 2 other miscellaneous invoices. And then this person also reviews all of the daily work that comes through the customer service stations. So they review, make sure everything balances to what was taken to the bank records, and then transfers any of the documentation to any of the other accountants that need that information.
One thing I wanted to go back to on the accounts payable is I'm really impressed with this organization that when I submit a bill to Vanessa, I never have to question, did it ever get paid or not? It goes over to her, it goes into her box, or you email her, and then you never hear back from any of the vendors, and it's weekly almost. I
Vanessa
mean,
has
the
t-
turnaround time to get paid, and especially on large public works contracts, some of those checks that we're writing are large, right? And that money goes out quickly, and I don't know if you've ever been recognized for that, but you're very timely in paying bills here.
Well, Vanessa's taken on that role, has done it very professionally and has taken ownership of that. And we do make payments once a week. So payments go out every Friday.
We changed that about 6 or 7 years ago, because it used to be have to wait for the council or commission to.
Right, it was
So
like almost,
we changed it so you could pay them.
yeah, it was like every other week. And then we got it to where we could just send them out weekly and then bring the approval forms to you to approve council night. And so and payments are made by EFT check. And so we're getting more payments made by EFT now, so which is helpful. People get their money quicker. And so that has streamlined the process. Also, we used to have a company that we would send the information to, they would do all that work, and then it was too cumbersome that they weren't doing what they needed to do. They were giving out Visa cards for their refunds and stuff. It got to be messy, and so we brought it back in-house because our system was able to do the EFT process, and it's been much more functional and streamlined since we did that. Back to the budget coordinator, grant administrator. In December, she was, and this is Hannah, and she was busy getting supplemental budget for 2025 that was approved, updated and balanced. And also she's able to put in the 2026 budget. And that took a little bit of time. 'Cause but it was an upload from Excel, so it was pretty seamless, but still you had to do all the balancing to make sure um, we're in check. And then Hannah's also supporting the payroll account analyst. She's still in her learning stage of payroll because Hannah was payroll accountant before she moved to this position. So she's continuing to support that role. Business and occupation tax, telephone, and gambling and gas tax forms. We received 110 B&O tax forms, 7 gambling tax, 29 telephone tax, and 1 natural gas. And we mailed out just over 3,000 B&O tax forms. So we still are doing that manually. We did send, because of this large amount every year, we did send that off to the printers to print and mail for us because that is time consuming. But typically every month, quarterly, we are doing that in-house printing and but right now is the busy time. Because all these B&O tax forms are coming back in. So myself as the interim finance director, I attended 3 council meetings and I presented 3. And then while doing all this, I'm also doing the deputy finance director position, which consists of making sure all the accounts are balanced, that whatever is taken over to the bank is actually in the system correctly, so that if there's any NSF checks come through, we have to manage that. We have to manage whatever the bank every single day, go into the bank, we make sure whatever transactions are coming in, coming out, they all match up. Anything's receivable, we have to get receipted into the customer service. Anything that's going out, whether it's a deduction of some kind, it could be an NSF check or our EFTs that are going out. We need to make sure those are correct. And there could be some corrections that the bank, sometimes the checks are not written right. The legal line, the bank is pretty critical on that legal line that people are writing the checks correctly. So sometimes there's needs to be an adjustment, and that takes some time. Most of the time it's a utility bill, and we have to reverse it out of utility billing and then have customer service receipt it back in the way it was supposed to on the legal line. So there's a little bit of work when those deductions happen. With the deputy finance director position again, it's balancing every month. It's making corrections. It's making a lot of journal entries for everything to balance again. And it's transferring. So if we have project time that our engineers and our procurement specialist are doing, our construction inspector, they have project time that they're working on during these construction, then we're doing a transfer because they're all billed out of the general fund currently. And so we are billing the project. And so this is a transfer to get those costs over to the project. And then it's a revenue back into the general fund. Then there's balancing of the municipal court receipts to their system and to what was receipted in. So they have a completely different system through the courts, and they do bring up their receipts daily so that they are brought upstairs, but we have to manually put them in through the customer service. But then at the end of the month, we're balancing everything together, and sometimes there's some corrections that need to be made. Then there's sending out these payments to the state, because the municipal court is the state payment. Portion of it is the cities, and a portion of it is the state. So a lot of that funding needs to go back to the state. So those payments need to go, which includes the accounts payable. But there's also balancing the supporter Sheltonians that we currently have the Community Action Council managing for us. But whatever payments they make for these accounts and they basically are $75 to help. And they basically average about 2 to 3 households that they're helping a month. But that has to be balanced. And then it's all the donations that are coming in, mostly from utility payments or donating extra. So that also has to be balanced and then sent to Community Action Council for the payment. There's a leasehold excise tax that we also process through the state. So any excise tax, leasehold excise tax. So for example, any leases that we have, MaceCom is one of our leases, but they're exempt because they're a government entity, but it's anybody else that we have any revenue from that we have to report. Then there's the excise tax that we have to report, and this is all the revenue that we need to pay excise tax to the Department of Revenue. A big portion of that is for water, sewer, and storm because of the revenue that we collect from them. A little bit of it is like copies in our recreation, those programs that we support, but we still have to report those to Department of Revenue and pay tax. And then basically it's finishing up the month and then letting the budget coordinator do her work, getting all the monthly reports to you guys. So all this kind of is timely. It's like, it's, need to get this job done before we go to the next so that they can keep doing their work. So it's a well-managed wheel up there. So then we turn to the IT department. It's the IT manager supports this. His name is Cody. You all know him. And but he reported that there were 0 failed simulating phishing emails that were sent out, and this is through that KnowBe4 program that the city uses, and so that was a good thing. 47 reported phishing emails, and 20 tickets submitted to the right systems. But also when these are submitted to right systems, Cody is also involved in receiving the same, he's CC'd on all of them. So he eventually is brought into the process of whatever the issue is to resolve. And then there was 29 tickets submitted to him himself via email regarding onboarding, desk phones, cell phone replacements, upgrades, hardware, software, just purchasing, hardware issues, application deployment, and security. So he is a department of one and is very, very busy, and but he handles it very professionally and well.
That phishing email thing, we've all seen them. You get them in your email, and some of them are getting pretty inventive. That we have a vendor that assists us with those, and he sends those out. And I think it was in October, I clicked on one city manager, he needed something or whatever. And after I did that, it, said got caught and whatever, and then instantly it sent me through some training. So I don't know if you guys have been caught on any of the fishing,
Not yet.
but it will send you through, you have the penalty and it sends you through training. So anyways, I was the first one and forever. So I know the city manager had an issue too, he said on one, so. Yeah, no, they're getting pretty good. So just read the subject lines and just be careful. If it seems too good to be true, it probably is, right?
I got one the other day from city of Shelton, and then I just like, I looked at the email address, it was like 18,000 characters. I go, yeah.
Yeah. Just be careful.
Yeah. Next is payroll. There were 94 employees paid, and we do pay twice, semi-monthly. So she basically has, 1 week full of payroll, and then the next week she's able to do other things. She's not quite there yet. She's brand new to payroll, so she's learning that process, but soon I will be probably assigning the capital assets to that position and getting those up to date. And that'll be mentioned in the work plan, but I believe Mark's gonna be presenting, we're gonna be presenting next month, I believe, in the work plan. And then because December was open enrollment, there were 6 changes for insurance purposes. Procurement. So this position is held by Brooke, and she processed 4 purchase orders, 2 solicitations initiated and drafted. 2 formal solicitations, there was 1. Contracts drafted was 2, contracts executed was 2, contracts actively managed is 23. Work orders, on-call A&E, consulting pool 1, contract or work order amendments 7. And I will say that Brooke is constantly busy. She knows her stuff very well. She makes sure she is versed in the laws and make sure that Public Works, mainly because she works mostly with a lot of the Public Works contracts, that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and
Most of us maintain compliance to the
Yes.
state rules change, it seems like all the time.
All the
And so she's changing forms, checking with the city attorney a lot. And keeping us up with state law, which is really good, but she's very accurate.
very, very accurate. And then our utility billing. So we processed 3,859 utility bills in December. Delinquent notices 485, but we had 598 that was mailed out, and that's because we have occupants, right? So we send them all to the owners, but then we have occupants that are also receiving these. So the door hangers, notices that went out, this is for non-payment. That was 124. And after the door hangers, if they didn't pay, there was shut-offs for non-payment, there was 37. And then after the 24 hours, is it 24 hours or a week, if they didn't pay, they would get locked off. And they get locked off so they don't use the water.
Unless they cut the lock.
Unless they,
And then
Unless they-
are over the top of the meter and. Yeah, those-
So creative.
People do crazy things.
then, but I forgot to mention, this position is held by Kim. And but she also sends out high consumption letters So this is something that I began when I first started my career here. We were still- But because we had a complaint at that time that nobody knew that he had a high consumption, you know, that he didn't know for, yeah, I think it went on for months. So we've kept this up ever since that time, just to give people notice, because a lot of people, if it's an underground leak, they won't notice unless they see it on their bill. It's a huge consumption. And people start to ask questions, and then they call our customer service and they give them, you know, some options to look for, or whether it's, a lot of times it's a leaky toilet that people don't realize are running. I had, my mom's toilet was running, I had no idea until we got it fixed, and you know, that was the problem. So so that's just to help so that it doesn't go so long and then we have to write off. Because they can ask for an adjustment on their accounts. After they discover that they had a leak, they fix the leak, they have receipts for the leak, they turn those into the city. The utility bill accountant processes that adjustment, goes through review from me. I review them all, and I sign off on all of them that I believe that are true adjustments. And then there were 32 new utility accounts.
And so with the new utilities, is that a new building or is that just a new person on the account?
It could be a new home, or it could be somebody sold and brought in, and a new account was built for them.
So both, okay.
Yeah. So then our projects within the finance department and IT, we have the indirect cost rate study that started. I think it was at the very end of December, so it's an ongoing project right now. We're currently reviewing all of personnel costs, making sure those allocations are correct and in the right areas. Base grade subjects.
No, it's not true. But it's how finance, like public works, engineering and admin are in the general fund. And then it's on like a 2-year cycle. So all of our payroll comes out of the general fund. And then the reimbursement from the utility funds comes back after a 2-year cycle. And it's difficult for us to operate under that. Because you need to be a little more nimble with your budget years, because some years I got a bunch of projects, other years I don't. And this 2-year cycle, you never quite know what the number is going to be. And then, you know, we're trying to budget. So we're getting that worked out, and probably come up with a better model. I know state law, they have a different model from what I understand.
Well, the better model is they're using 26 budget numbers now, right? So Brent is also involved in these meetings, so that we're involving, you know, other departments. Kind of reflects that it does heavily affect streets, water, sewer, storm, EM&R, to pay the general fund for services.
And it's not an easy model either, you guys. It's one how to keep the machine going type of model. And there's a lot of input, right? So
there's a lot of input. There's you know, how many meetings did we bring, you know, did water, sewer, storm bring, you know, to you all to vote on. And there's boxes. How many boxes do we have upstairs? They wanted to go by square footage, but we talked them out of that one. We're going with FTEs.
all the heater control for my office got off of there. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, it's very,
It's pretty
there's a
detailed.
lot of components to the model.
It's more just so the right fund department gets the right
The
allocation.
correct
for what
allocation.
they're they're spending, so
Mhm.
like, I'm sure like. City manager's salary goes in different departments. Public works, water and sewer and stormwater and. You know, stuff like, something like that.
Well, for example, the customer service is supported mainly by the utilities because they're doing all the utility payments, collecting all of that. But then 10% of it is just strictly general fund. The utility billing is accountant is mainly out of, paid back by these utility funds. Because she's doing utility billing for those funds. So,
And that's because or other funds are dedicated businesses, sewers are dedicated business. Water is dedicated business.
Yep.
So. And we want to make sure that collecting rates for those, make sure that we're allocating all those funds properly, and everybody's paying what they're supposed to pay.
well, EM&R is an internal service fund, but we're also supporting EM&R, paying the bills, paying people.
That's equipment maintenance and rental
Yeah.
fund, that's dump trucks and pavers and compactors and that sort of thing.
So it's setting rates that if we're doing service outside of the city, we're able to charge that rate. Also, it's coming with a component to where we could bill our federal grants. That's a legal component because that is one that you don't want to get caught doing without an approved model that has this 2 CFR component to it. So, but we would be able to charge whatever that rate comes out to our grants and collect that from the federal grant. Any other questions on the indirect cost? That's expected to complete by, I'm thinking April. I'm trying to get all the information to them as soon as possible so that they can get that model up and running. So we can put it in place. The next 3 are the IT department. He's going to replace 8 switches. Because the Civic Center, Public Workshop, and the wastewater treatment plant. Then he is assisting with the court migration to the new state model, state program, obviously. But he's helping whenever he is needed for this transfer. And then he's also assisting the police department with tracks. And that's the ticketing system that that's replacing in April. He told me. Yeah, so. And then we currently still have the automated meter reading system that's still all these meters that are being replaced. Most of them are in, but it's the ones that are in concrete.
For surface areas, staff is doing internally.
Right. So that affects our utility billing because anytime a meter is replaced, they need to replace that meter in the system. But that is a timing component too, before, so when the meters are read, the meters are replaced. And so they kept.
Yeah, Keystone probably got 95% of them done. They're on their way out. They got 15, 20 meters left. They need to go fix and do some things with. So it's really good that the contractor's completed.
Yeah.
And then in the future, there's one more phase of that project. And that will be, we have drive-by radio read and we'll go to the fixed base antenna read. So the people don't have to drive around the city and pick up the reads anymore. And anyways. Your laptop going okay?
I'm looking at your sideways thing, so.
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, we'll bring that up on the big screen up here in a second. So
So other than that,
Oh,
that is all I have. If you have any questions.
I just want to give you, Terry, the highest respect for you and your team, because there's an audit for the Shelton Metropolitan Parks District. And I was like, oh my gosh, an audit. And actually, your team did so much pre-work and dotted all the i's and crossed all the t's, and it was like we were done in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was
Thank
just spectacular, and that's the kind of reputation I think Shelton has for not only paying his bills on time, but keeping really good books.
Thank
So thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. It sounds complicated.
Maybe on the next one, maybe a little discussion on what it takes to prepare for your state audit that we
Oh,
have
shoot.
annually and why they're different every year and stuff like that. I know that they're very time consuming, but I do know that all these years we've gotten high marks from the auditors. For
Yeah.
the preparation.
Yeah, it was done well.
You know, I'm already thinking ahead because the process actually starts now. And even though it's due May 30th, I think this year, there's a long process that goes with that. Just to, read the whole BARS manual, basically. So, but, and it's all the updates. You need to know all the updates that the auditor puts out. What did they discontinue? What are new requirements that they want to see? In the last couple of years, for example, has been the leases. And that was a major one, but also the subscriptions, the IT subscriptions. Which I don't think we have anything for 25, just because of our, we did have one because of Microsoft. We had like a 3-year contract with Microsoft. And so that one fell off because it's, I believe it'd be automatic renewal. If it's an automatic renewal, then it's no longer a long-term lease because you can cancel at any time. But the leases, those are interesting because we are adding more vehicles to our lease
Right.
schedule. So, yeah, it's just getting bigger. That's all.
Giving you more work, sure.
All right, is that all we have, Terry?
That's all I have.
All right, awesome.
So we're gonna have Public Works in a moment,
Okay.
but I do have the city manager's executive report that he prepared before he left. And so this is a pretty quick one. He attended, and this is for December, 4 public meetings, 5 council briefings. And then on projects and programs, he had the Mason County Legislative Send-Off that he went to. The Boy Scout Troop 9112 Municipal Government 101. I walked in halfway into that, and what a great speaker. Mark did a great job up there, animated, got all these kids asking him questions. It was good, and then I even got involved. I hijacked the meeting for a few minutes, and then they went over time. That's pretty typical when I'm doing things. And then AWC legislative preview, went to that. And then the legislative capital request was submitted. That's for the Mountain View Reservoir. We had the employee appreciation recognition event, and that went off really good. That's fun. Mark's a great speaker at those, and he just keeps it lively and going, the award ceremonies and all that. And then all the other staff that participated, that was a great event. And then the MIHP contracts with partners were executed, and then the strategic plan, consultant qualification, review, and contract negotiations. That's strategic planning effort's gonna come up soon. Mary, what was it? Was a Saturday, and it's February 21st. So that's it. That is the city manager's report. And any questions? No.
Thank you.
I could try, right? So Public Works. Aaron, you ready? Sure. Anybody need a break?
Does anybody need a break?
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break at 7:07, so we'll be back at 7.
Eric, you missed your reservation.
Oh, am I supposed to do the gavel on a break? Okay.
You did.
Sure, I'm running still.
Hey, Jay.
Make it legal.
You don't need to prepare your reports on there.
Yeah, because they're itty bitty.
Which one do you want first?
The first one in your
Miscellaneous,
packet.
miscellaneous, then capital.
Yeah, just go down through the packet. Okay,
Eric, is there something that you wanted to see?
Printed out.
in the-
It'd be nice just for, you know, council and the citizens to know that's involved in your items. That's all. Time, staff, five staff members to. I just think it would be beneficial because it's annual, it's yearly, we pay for it. Twice, we pay you guys to do it, pay them to look at it.
And it's expensive.
And it's expensive, yeah. The damn state workers gotta get paid, right, Tom?
Support.
Sometimes they'll charge you up to like 35,000. So,
Yeah. Just, I don't know, it's probably beneficial. I know that it's time consuming and a lot of T's and I's you guys are crossing to get there.
yeah, but I have this big binder, like bring and show and tell.
You guys were all in a meeting the other day, and I had a question that AWC and their lobbyist was asking me one question and nobody answered their phone. She finally did, yeah. It was Monday? You guys were all in the meeting. They wanted, they're getting a lot of pushback on the after call. On the discussion in a local agreement, they want to know what the fair amount we thought. Well, we see.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I showed the girls, they were happy.
It's like, I think she's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
I think they are.
They were.
Some cities are asking for 750.
They said they were doing.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I was like, I think I'm gonna take.
That was.
And if you don't.
You remember what that's your.
Yeah, no, I really know about one.
Right.
My laptop died halfway through that.
Right, do you wanna plug it in?
I just,
Yeah.
I'm
we're
good.
almost done.
I just saw. $3
We need stop. Option 4 on highway.
Sure.
Irrelevant one.
So, talk before the demand,
Oh,
so
parking.
parking.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. I talked to a few people, most people I talked to said no parking.
People crossing that road is always a little wild. True. Oh, Olympic Highway North.
Hey. Awesome. I forwarded that email that we got. Okay. All right, so we're just got one more minute.
Mary, you're gonna share screen? Okay, thank you.
And they go on the board of this.
Okay, right on. That's it. No, it's fine. That's fine. It is.
It is in the beginning.
All right. 12 p.m., January 27th, 2026, we are resuming our meeting from our 5-minute break. All right, and we have Jay Harris on the tip here with Aaron next, correct?
Yes.
All right.
So, good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council, Jay Harris, Aaron Nix, Public Works. Aaron is our Assistant Public Works Director and has a load of things to talk about. But time here, right? That I really want to make sure we get to Olympic Highway North is really the key here. So I'm gonna just sort of go quickly through here. And if you guys have questions, you can ask them tonight or give me a call tomorrow, send me an email about some of these metrics, because there's a lot of information here. And the other thing is this link is half of it. The other half is coming next month, which is what the maintenance division is doing over there. So most of this stuff here is what we do in this building, the capital projects. So we call these non-capital projects. These are just small things that we're working on, but we track them on this spreadsheet. And Aaron has done a really good job about what we feel is a high priority and what could be a low priority. And then anything in green means it's been completed, green light, we're gone, it's good. They'll probably be removed from the list soon. We're gonna hide those cells. And then anything in yellow is active. Anything in red, we haven't really got to yet, but we're trying to get to it. So just a couple key things. We've already spoke about the downtown sidewalk and street trees. That is going to be to bid to us soon. We just issued an addendum to the contract. Just some clarifications. The contractors got back to us, asked some questions. Then we usually give them some additional information. So we got done with that. So bids will be coming in soon on that. In-house paving, we did that last summer. The in-house chip seal, we didn't get to it. Mason County couldn't. And so that money, it was budgeted, but it just goes back into the street fund. So even though the project didn't happen, the money goes back to the fund though, right? So we're working on a bunch of sign improvements. And so that's very important that we meet reflectivity standards. When you come up to a stop sign, your lights hit it, you can see it. Also posts. We're replacing posts and going to metal posts on all of them, which will really help the durability of the signs. That right now wood posts rot out and they fall over a little easier. We're working on some thermoplastic. We bought a bunch of thermoplastic in last year's budget that we still need to torch down. And going down, video truck downloads is another one. We're gonna go to the Schneider geospatial system and sort of integrate that. But what that is when we go out and camera a line, and then a lot of times it's because of sewer backup, that sort of thing. We go camera from manhole to manhole to show that our sewer line is not backed up, but your house is flooding because of your sewer. Those need to be downloaded into our system and not live on the video truck or on a hard drive over there or whatever, that we need to get them in our system. We're going to be doing a forest main inspection. That is from the park, Nealon Park. And that goes, there's a metal force line and main that goes all the way down to the main plant. And we need to periodically check on that because most of our sewer is treated at the main plant. If we have a problem with that pressurized pipe, and sewer's going to come out, obviously, and we might not be able to use it, would be the worst case. So we need to look at that. The storm comp plan's underway. That's real big. We haven't got to the Madison K Street storm study. The intersection needs some inlets. We got to put some water down. The parking lot of Olympic Plaza floods with a little bit of water down there. I don't know if you've seen that before. We're trying to resolve some of those issues in that area. High school tank recoding. That was a project that was removed. That's underwater. Under the water division. And anyways, we determined that the tank is at end of life. It's a 1950s tank. It needs to go offline. I think I mentioned that before. A part of the legislative request and putting in the 1.5 gallon tank is to allow that one to be able to go offline. So we start bringing on newer assets. The cost of that coating at the age and its life cycle, it's not worth putting the money into it at this point, especially with that small of a tank. Reservoir vent project, we should be under construction here. I'm hoping in the next 4 or 6 weeks.
Final bid coming in on Tuesday.
That's great. That'll be really good. The state's required. So our reservoirs you have to intake air. So when water comes out, you got to replace it with air. And the Department of Health wanted some finer screenings and bigger vent holes and that sort of thing. And so that's one of those things that they do a water quality survey. They come out and look at the whole system, and they can put something on there, and they required us to get it done in 1 year. We're not going to quite make that timeline, but we've tried hard. So we're going to get that done soon enough. And then GIS, why don't you talk just a little more about what Colton does there?
So Colton, he's a loan person in his own shop. In essence, he manages GIS for the entirety of the city. So that means planning, public works, community development. He has been actively working on kind of updating our maps, which you'll see within the GIS system. Work order system that currently we have. Those are the My Civic pieces that you guys see about people putting in complaints, those kinds of things, as well as in an internal system between departments. So he's made that happen. And then he actively worked on the Advanced EAM program, which in essence was the asset management software piece that I brought forward to you guys. He has spent at least, I mean, there's countless hours of at least 5 groups that he brought in to kind of discuss that. He evaluated the current Tyler piece. He really managed that all by himself. Obviously, I was involved with him and attended the meetings, those kinds of things, but that's something that he has really advanced, and we're really excited to get that going here very soon. Because of the proactive maintenance stuff that I talked to you guys about, we want to proactively go maintain things before they crash. Currently, the way we do it is we let it age way past its deadline. We try to fix it continuously, and then it dies, and then we have to come up with the money to make that happen. So,
Or worse yet, we have a problem in our system and people don't have water for a day or that sort of thing. That's really what the asset management system is going to get us to. That and we have a very reliable system, don't get me wrong, but let's keep it reliable and know when to replace aging water lines from the 50s and 60s need to start going away, that sort of thing. We got rid of meters that had unknown ages. We didn't know how old some of those were. So the meter replacement project went pretty darn good. Do you want to catch parks and facilities?
yeah, that's fine. So parks, obviously, you can tell we've segregated them out by the various divisions that we have within the city. So this is the parks, kind of their piece. The Callanan irrigation project did not move forward. I don't believe, we wanted to wait on that and I can't remember the reason. North Cliff, we have bought all the stuff. That stuff is going in very soon, you guys. So that irrigation system, it's in the yellow. Everything's been purchased, but it's moving forward. And then the development of a parks facility inventory, as well as our capital improvement project development, which we've not been super strong in the past. We're getting super strong now with regard to at least identifying. The other thing I just quickly want to make you aware of is we've already proactively moving forward with our PROST plan, the Parks Recreation Open Space plan, and that will be a significant driver as far as project development, those kinds of things. So that facilities has made tremendous strides this year. You guys notice all the green that we have there.
Yeah, it's getting out of reactive and getting to proactive.
Like I said, our tendency is to run things until they die, in essence. We try to do preventative maintenance, but we're only so limited. So, in essence, a shout out to Luke Manning, who basically manages facilities. Him and I collectively together worked and got all of these projects in the green, obviously done. The UPS, we are on hold right now, although you guys have already approved it. Reason being, Macecom has some old servers that they refuse, and I get it. I'm not arguing with them. They refuse to shut down because they're afraid they're not going to come back up. And this is critical police information. So in essence, we are on hold on that UPS. Obviously, everything's here until they can get their servers replaced.
I think they're getting close on that.
They're procuring them right now, and then we'll get them installed, and then we'll move forward with that project. So,
Please be installed on property. They're gonna be installed off property. So that'll probably help with the AC in the room back there.
Oh, as far as NACECOM.
Yeah.
And what they're trying to do, yeah. Yeah, I get it. The other thing that a project that we did last year was, I don't know if you've ever been upstairs, there's a storage room back there and it was a disaster. We spent days in there trying to get through stuff that we wanted to keep and stuff that we didn't want to keep, but we completely cleaned that out. And then, in addition, we're starting to do some as-built-in, work, to try to get rid of some of this paper.
Try to digitize the records so you can find stuff. Those paper records, very difficult. The filing systems are ancient. The Dewey Decimal, some of the cards are missing, that sort of thing, so.
Perfect. So these are the rest of the projects. What I wanted to emphasize here, you guys, these are non-capital related projects. So when I say that, these are more maintenance projects. These are low, for the most part, dollar amount projects that don't necessarily fall under capital. We'll get into capital next, but that's a pretty significant list that we've managed. And most of that work that happened last year. So there's a lot of projects that we completed. So any questions on those? Okay,
So one more, we have a general section. I guess it's capital projects, and it's
the second page.
so good facilities.
General.
Yeah, general. I don't know, maybe it wasn't. Anyways,
not
let me just go over a few. These are just ongoing projects.
Not looking at this.
Emergency management was one of them that I'm big on. Right now, we don't have an admin assistant, and it's really hard to really work on programs like that. So we're doing things like updating the continuity of the operations plan and stuff, but we're doing a bunch of other things without admin support. It's hard to run that program. Brent, me, Kenny are working on the standards manual update. That's gonna be coming to you guys in about a month. That's the engineering standards manual. That's manholes, pipes, backfilling things, paving, that sort of stuff. And we have regular meetings that we need to attend every month. And then we had that interlocal agreement with Mason County, and that we got that approved. That allows us to do that yearly paving with them every year. Transportation impact fees, we got that done. The hospital had moved some buildings into a storage status and then started using them and brought them online, which affects traffic. So Brent was good enough to get that done. Anyways, we have just other things like the maintenance yard bathroom that was completed, ongoing organizational charts. We got to keep up. We have 46 people, and it's like every week something is changing on that org chart. So we're taking it on. Typically I had an admin assistant working on that, but it's very helpful to keep a snapshot of where you are with that many people, and they're moving around all the time and that sort of thing. A couple things, the stormwater technician, Pat, we brought online, which was great. And then the public works technician, we have an internal posting for that right now. They're gonna help the day-to-day down at the maintenance yard and the main plant to just pay bills and to do the safety meeting organization and the order paper and just keep these facilities running with these people and trucks that are going in and out. We need someone there keeping the base facility running.
When did you hire the stormwater technician?
Yes, so the stormwater technician was already in the budget. It's just we hadn't filled the position.
September, I think, is when he came on.
Yeah.
I was just interested.
Oh, no.
That 1/1/25.
Yeah, correct. That was in last year's budget.
Oh.
Yeah, so we brought on Pat. He's been here for some months now. It took a while to put him in the position, but great. This is the stormwater technician's job. The state every year increases their compliance level on stormwater because now we're a phase 2 city. And if you're under 10,000 people, we were okay. You didn't need all this compliance stuff. Now we have all of this compliance stuff, and he is a busy person trying to keep up with all the compliance. So it's good. So capital projects, Aaron here knows a lot about those.
So when I started here and you guys, the attitude here is I am a humble person and I'm not trying to tout myself. When I started here, we had 3 projects in design. Now look at the list, and the reason why I bring that up is to tout other staff and what we've been able to accomplish in the 2 years that I've been here. So currently, right now, we have 19 active capital projects. These are all the ones that I brought forward to you guys that we've had discussions. The Safe Routes to Schools was completed a year or so ago. That project's been closed out. Those were the new crossings that you saw at the high school, as well as downtown here. This railway highway crossing project, we intend to get that constructed this summer. We're about done with design on that. The idea is these are all of the railroad crossings that we have throughout town. Those will be removed and replaced because we're taking out the rails. So this one is a big project for us. This is a combination of 2 projects. It's a systemic pedestrian improvement project that basically is looking at 4 areas where they will improve the crossings with flashing beacons, those kinds of things. And then we also got a $3.5 million grant to reconstruct Olympic Highway North. We are currently waiting for local programs to approve our supplemental piece to that, but our intent is that will be constructed in 2027. Big project for us. This, I have talked to some of you weren't on the council, but we've talked about this in the past. We received some grant money in the amount of $300,000 to do design at the Wallenstein and Shelton Springs intersection. Some thoughts that we're going to put a roundabout in there. After we've done some analysis, you guys remember we did some improvements on that thing. I was by there this weekend, you guys. It was Friday about 4 o'clock, and I can't tell you how much better traffic flows through there. There was no backs up, so good work with that.
Thanks to Todd Rhodes.
Yeah.
We pulled wires, put the heads up, self-performed that whole signal installation ourselves. Brought in a programmer that goes into the box and does the programming, but our guys hooked that all up. That was a great internal project.
So we've actually talked to the legislative delegation. This was an appropriation that they gave. We asked them we would like to give the money back. Now, hear me out. Because we have a more immediate need. Our more immediate need is actually Wallace, Nealon, and Olympic Highway North. That sets the trend and the traffic patterns throughout the city, and just so happens to be our economic driver in the city. That is where we get all our tax base. So we've requested that they move it over to that intersection with the understanding that we don't own it. It's WSDOT's. We want them to get motivated to do something with it, because that is a holdup for us. As far as proceeding, you want wonderful to tie in a new roundabout at that intersection with these new pavement improvements we're doing. It's just gonna help us tremendously from my perspective, from an engineering perspective. Ingleside Reservoir, if you remember, the Department of Commerce gave us about 1.8 million to do upgrades. I just saw 100%. We will be out to bid on that project in a month. So that's moving forward. Get that done. The reclaimed water tank, that is under construction. We had the pre-con for it 2 weeks ago, so they will start breaking ground. That was just quickly one of the projects, but it actually threw a caveat. I know you will appreciate this because there was an environmental element to it. I don't know if y'all realize that, but we have a pocket gopher that lives over there, and it's a endangered species, so we had to mitigate for the impacts that we were doing. We basically got together, put a plan together to kind of mitigate more. It was like a 3-to-1 ratio. Let's say we disturbed a half an acre, we have to do 1.5 acres to rehab a new area in order to make that happen. We were able to do all that on site, we got it done. So was a project that took a little while, but now the actual tank is going in, and that's what you're gonna see here very shortly. I got word today that rehabilitation project has been finalized, and we can close it out. That was, if you remember right, there was a pipe going from the high school tank all the way up to our, what do we call that, Springbok?
well one, past the spring box, all the way to well one. It stops there
It
though.
was all gravity, we had to pressurize it because if not, then water has a tendency to come into the joints and. Health does not want to see that, so you have to pressurize it. That project is done. In addition, we got 2 new chlorine houses. Housed at wells 1 and 3 and 4, that we will then, that will do on-site treatment in those buildings at a future date. So moving forward with that. Headworks upgrade, he's at like 40% design on this thing. Again, the intent is that's a $3.5 million project. That project will probably go at the end of this year. And in addition, what it does is it basically increases our capacity at the MDR to be able to treat more water. So as we add this new tank, now we have larger headworks, we can sell more product. That's the intent. You guys have seen this going in over here. We've had some issues with it as far as bordering, but they've dug all the fence posts, they've set all the bases. That will probably be done in a month or 2. This one I have not made real yet, but I'm looking forward to. This was another 200,000, 250,000 that Mark got. You remember, as part of that project, we upgraded to a new security software. This is, that additional money is basically gonna pay for automated doors here and some other protection mechanisms, security piece. And then we're gonna go out to our facilities as far as public works if we have any additional money. So that's moving forward. AMI is actually physically done. They're working on punch list items, about 2,800 meters got installed. Some larger meters we're gonna do on our own, but it's great that we finally got past this project. So, that's the idea here. Backup disinfection, that was a grant that we received, where we're going to use peracetic acid to treat off specification water. What that means is we got dirty water that we can't discharge. This is another mechanism that we can treat it before we discharge it. So it actually will help the bay and the oyster harvesting that goes on out there. It actually opens more area as we can treat stuff. So Bed Hoods received another bid on Tuesday. That project will be done in a month or so. Shelton Springs sewer line extension, that was money that was actually given to us by the port. And that the idea is to connect our sewer from where the high school is all the way up to 101. So that design's moving forward. We had to put in a request to obviously get the money, which we got, and then also a request because of our demographics, we're not gonna have, there's no match. There's no match money with it. They've eliminated that. So we just get the money to do the design. So that helped us out. Goldsboro Creek, long project that, and in fact, somebody put a newspaper clipping on my desk. 20 years ago, they were talking about this very same issue. And it was the Fish and Wildlife people in the tribe, going like this, move it, don't move it, don't move it. We get in and start moving it, and lo and behold, the state comes back and says, do not remove any of the larger rocks downstream of that because you will erode our. It's historical.
Yep.
It'll fall down. So now we have
3 bridge over
the fish
Goldsboro
people
Creek.
saying, get it out, get it out. Now we have WSDOT saying, do not get the pipe out or the rock, because we need it, otherwise we'll lose that bridge. So.
The piers are made out of wood. Those are the piles. And if the piles get exposed, you want to keep them wet. And it preserves the wood a lot longer. So they're really concerned about some more cutting through the bridge area.
Well, one motor and VFD placement, VFDs are basically, I've talked to you guys a little bit about those, they basically power up, ramp it down more slowly as opposed to jump up, jump down. They're very expensive, put it to you that way. Also, the well one motor was put in 79. Something like that.
89. 89, yep.
We gotta get that replaced, it's way overdue, so that's happening. Crosstown Trail, Jordan and I are both, we just got 30% plans on that. We're gonna start sharing that with the pros, not pros, the prac. As well as you guys all, we wanna start doing maybe some community meeting or 2 to start having that conversation. That's moving forward. Also, as of next week, I'm gonna have this submitted so that we can make this money real. This is basically Neeland Park all the way to the marina. That's what we're trying to accomplish. So that's the other phase there. So that will be moving.
So the
forward.
goal is with both those have the design done, shelf-ready plans, looking for construction money for them.
Current estimate for phase one is about $2 million. So, and that, I'm telling you, council, we went bare bones on this thing. We said, we just want a trail. The only thing that we had to add because of the grant was some lighting. As well as, really brought forth some cool wayfindings with regard to keeping that railroad. All that infrastructure and using that as part of the wayfinding along the trail, which is.
I'm impressed with the design team on that.
I do, yeah, sure. Last thing is, you guys know that we need a new 1.5 million gallon tank. Reservoir. That is for, and we have about $1 million to do the pre-design and design to make that happen with the expectation that by 2030, we are purchasing a new tank. Because high school has to go away. It's rusty, and it's just old and small, so.
5 to 9 million.
Yeah.
I mean, in the 1.5 million gallon, I've heard 2.5.
We've been going through all those iterations, and the reason being is, if we're gonna do it, let's do it right, and the reason why he's wanting to oversize it, and he's right, is it deals with that fire flow issue and the volume. And the ability to, in the future, be able to serve new residents, and we're not gonna be able to do that with the high school tank online.
So other questions that have come up too is when is the Angleside Reservoir gonna go offline? That's from the sixties. It's right behind the high school tank, right? And so the cost per gallon, if you look at $1.5 million, it's X. You X plus whatever to build a larger tank. You know, go to 2.5 million. So we're evaluating that right now, just to make sure that the size is correct, that we can get 20 years of reservoir storage. Because right now, as of a month ago, we didn't have any, we were negative on reservoir storage volume. Just 2 weeks ago, with the Mountain View Reservoir, we hooked up, they call it Mankey Hill, the houses around that reservoir up there were hooked up to the upper zone system. And so we can draw that tank down a lot farther now. So we just picked up all the deficit in that tank plus 700 new units, which was big news. The Angleside project that we've had, the $2.5 million project, is going to do the same on that tank up there. But we do need to be planning for the replacement of tanks. And then another decision that does need to be made is, do we stay with steel tanks? It's a decision you guys are gonna need to make. Or do we go to glass line, which is more expensive, that we're doing at the MBR plant? Or do we bite the bullet and go to concrete, which is near zero maintenance over a long period of time?
100 years though, they last very.
It lasts very long, but you pay up front and you get out of the maintenance life cycle. So it's like buying a really, really nice car that you know you're gonna get 500,000 miles on. I don't think they make those yet. But right, but you pay more money up front to get a lot more mileage later.
As a quick example, you guys, we had concrete tanks when I was the general manager up at Lake Cushman. And I actually asked an engineer, what do I need to do to maintain this? And they said, absolutely nothing. All you need to do is if there's cracking, fill in those cracks. And you gotta dive it occasionally, but otherwise don't paint it, leave it alone. And 100 years, I mean, that's a long time.
So we need to get through a pre-design before we'll be bringing that to you guys for the 1.5 million gallon reservoir with some options, right? And we could stay at that size, we could stay at steel, or we go bigger, we could maybe go to glass line, that sort of thing. So that will all be coming to you probably in the next 4 or 5 months, I'm thinking.
5 minutes, please. These are current projects. You guys need to have some perspective with regard to what's coming in the door. You know, how Mark continuously talks about, I don't want to ramp up on a planning person or a construction person until these are actually getting through the door. They're not through the door yet, but what we included here was the amount, the number of units for each of these, the location, with its current status, and most importantly, estimated start dates for a lot of these things. So that will be helpful to you. You can slowly go through that. Alpine Ridge is 308 lots, Lake Boulevard, 41 lots, Olympic Heights is 199 lots, University is 71 lots, Coffee Creek, which is a big one for us, and where are they at with that?
Yeah, they've submitted their plans. They're under civil review. They've made it through land use. So they're gonna be breaking ground this summer.
Things to keep in mind with regard to that, based on the units, is we get a slug of money every time they sell a home. We get property tax associated with that, and probably new water users, those kinds of things. So just keep that in mind. Bear Street, 75 lots, but if you're noticing, a lot of these things are scheduled for 2026, early 2027.
I think some of those are probably gonna drop off just because of development patterns. Interest rates are a little high. I think people, in my mind, are probably gonna hold off, but we'll see.
Go ahead. Some other projects, Forest Hill, 12 lots, Commons, the apartments, 42 units.
So that is sort of an outlier, you guys. So apartments aren't big on here, right? And we need more of that. We need apartments here in this community. And they're just difficult. They're expensive to build, and the operating costs are pretty high on it. The single family homes, you go in, you do the development, you sell the house, and you move on. You know, apartments are a long-term commitment.
We got quite a few on our comp line,
Yep,
1,600, I think, don't we?
yep. Yeah, we need to attract apartments here.
Short plat, 4 lots, and then you guys have heard about the tribal hotel and gas station. That's basically the components of it. It's across Highway 101 from the county public works facility
They're aggressive. They want to start this summer on it, so.
with permitting done through them and not, right?
Some
Right.
permitting is done correct through the county. There's a lot of permitting they don't need to do though.
Because the tribe does it.
Because the tribe does it themselves. Yep, yep.
So that's some perspective, you guys. We're looking at probably another 1,500 units on the books and eventually, and then the tribal hotel and the gas station complex. So that's currently large picture stuff that we have on the horizon for that.
It's gonna be nice to get some development, but too bad we're not gonna be getting sales tax or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that. No, I agree.
Eric, could you bring up the Olympic Highway North cross section?
Last item, you guys, and we're hoping to get some direction from you guys. What we'd like to do is go to a public meeting on this. What we've identified are basically the options that we gave you that initial bite of what we thought the engineer was going. We've had some things that have changed, and a lot of it is cost reflective. So we want to kind of go over that with you guys with the caveat that you give us a recommendation, hopefully, just a consensus, which option. And then we will approach 1 or 2 options with them at that public meeting, which will happen very soon, like within a month, you guys. So
So at the top, you could see the option numbers. So you have option 1, 2, 3, and 4.
and this aligns with this. So
Thank
the
you.
picture basically, it tells you what our thought concept is with this. The options that we supplied are, if you remember, we had that discussion with regard to that, we called it a dual track on one side of the road. After we investigated that a little bit further, we found that that dual track would kill us, especially at K Street, because that signal would have to be totally redone. And that's at least a $500,000 bill just to do that without all the other stuff. So this
So Aaron, yeah, that's shown as option 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
This is one of our last options at this point, you guys. So what we try to do is we want to try to simplify it for you guys the best that we could. Knowing that you're going to get some pushback from the community depending on what direction we go. So I just want to quickly explain these. This in essence is status quo. In essence, all the parking stays on Elliptic Highway North. And then we have this intermingle of parked cars with moving cars. And this is really, it's the most basic format that we could do in order to meet the requirements that we have to put bike lanes out there. It's from perspective of, can you go down just a little bit, Mary? Keep going all the way. Yeah. What we try to identify, keep going. What we try to identify are basically the costs associated with each of these options. So we have the construction costs. These first 2 are in the low category. This one is in the high, because I told you $500,000 for a signal, that puts us in the high. And this fourth alternative is a moderate to high, and I'll show you why. Ongoing operations and maintenance costs. Going with this option, we'll have, it's similar to the existing conditions, so our operations money is not gonna be significantly higher with that design. Moderate with this one, and I'll show you why. High with this one, just because of the ongoing signal stuff we'll have to do there, as well as there's a ton of painting associated with that. And then this last one, which I'll go over again as well, again, a lot of painting. Remember Jay said something about thermoplastic? The reason why we bring that up is thermoplastic is that plastic stuff that you can, instead of painting like stop bars, you actually put it down, heat it up, and it melts to the ground. It lasts 10 years, and 5 years, maybe.
5 years if you're driving over a lot, 10 years if there's not a lot of wheels on it.
Okay, so you'll see that, please go back up, Mary. All the way to the top, yeah, right here is good. So what we've identified are these things with regard to options. I want to make you guys aware that parking, currently, we've done counts as far as the parking stalls along the east and the west side of Olympic Highway North. There's 56 lots on the west side, and there's 32 parking lots on the east side. Remember, we did that kind of an analysis where we found maybe 2 or 3 cars on each side during the different periods that we went out and looked. So it's not used heavily, but some people are using it. I will tell you, after we had that conversation, I got a email from and I apologize, I don't know her name. Owns the restaurant it's on the west side. Is it Susan?
Suzanne.
Suzanne. That she was very adamant that removing her parking from the road would hurt her. So I just want to make you aware of that. There's the kinds of things. But I think our designs are going to help alleviate that depending on which direction we go. In essence, so this is kind of the basic standard format. The reason we don't like this as much, and we talk about the advantages, the disadvantages, the mingling of cars and bikes. Just that notion that they're interacting together can be dangerous. So we did talk to TIB, and they basically said that was initially when they were starting to require that. This was kind of the basic option that people took. They don't do that so much anymore. That's kind of a last option, just because of the commingling of a heavy car and a pedestrian.
Well, then also to get that option to work, we had to reduce all of the lanes, the travel lanes and such, to almost minimum, that's allowed by standards. And so now we have cars and bikes and narrower lanes.
If we go that route, would it be recommended to maybe bring down the speed limit in that area?
Yes, I will tell you that's what TIB said, but I don't know if that's too realistic.
It's posted at 30 right now. We actually have the radar feedback signs up there because I wanted to find out what people are driving up there. So we'll have that data in the next few weeks on that. But the 85th percentile speed, that means 85% of the people are traveling at that speed or lower, is probably right around 30, 32. When you just stand there and watch the cars. If you post that at 25, I don't think you're gonna see many people following that. We're having a problem on Railroad Avenue at 25 right now. Yeah.
How much bike traffic do we have on that hill? I drive that road every day. I think I see one guy that's pretty regularly over there on his bike. And that's about
Have you
it.
seen it?
Yeah, I mean, using the bike, I don't see anybody riding bikes around here. Occasionally you see a guy on a GoPed or something, but I don't see people riding bicycles.
Yeah, so part of our grant
I agree.
fund, we had to accept bike lanes as part of the grant fund, through the state. So it is a requirement, and you bring up a good point. Their thought pattern is you gotta start somewhere here, folks. And this is a great commercial area, and you can connect to other areas, connect to your trail system eventually, and start making what they call active transportation network. And we're actually working on that plan right now.
So that makes sense for the first one then. So we're just trying to get started with bike lanes.
Yep,
To go crazy and add all the rest of this buffer lanes and worry about, people getting run over on their bicycle. Like you said, if there was a consistent bike path around here that people use, that would be definitely gung ho to add things to it, but to go crazy when you got two people that ride bicycles through town a month, you know what I mean? It kind of seems goofy.
And I agree, we have to kind of balance the life safety component of it and as well as the costs associated with it, I get it. And candidly, to meet their damn requirements, we have to do what we don't necessarily want to all the time, so, and I'm just being honest with you
So
guys.
option one would meet all their
Well,
requirements,
and
right?
you're
Correct.
upsetting less of the business owners on that road probably.
That's what I mean.
So
That's,
it's probably the
sounds like
lesser
a
of
lot of
the
sense.
three evils at this point, I mean,
Understand,
yeah.
let me get through the
Go
rest of them just quickly, you guys, so that that's very good conversation that needs to continue on, so. If you were doing a bare bones, that would ideally be that, but also you gotta kind of draw in what kind of negative criticism are we gonna get with regard to. Safety, you get to keep your parking, that's how that can be. This was actually the option that we, at least as staff, identified as the one. And if you you don't need to go down there, this is the one that would at least provide, we think, the most safety as well as meet the criteria, in essence. The lanes are gonna be a little bit bigger, especially the center turn lane. You do have parking, we're suggesting that you maintain the parking on the west side, so that's, you maintain those. But with this, obviously, parking on the west side? East side would be eliminated, so we would lose 32 lots, at least in this scenario, but again. You do have parking, the other thing to understand is that we're doing crossing enhancements here, so. It wouldn't be that difficult to park on one side, go up to the crosswalk, go across the street and go to the business that way. I'm just offering that as a thought process, so. Ideally, we would keep the 56, this would be eliminated, you get rid of kind of the parking issue here, you do have a buffered lane here. As well as this is kind of segregated, to try to separate the two, but you still maintain that parking. On that side, in this scenario, you may gain parking on both sides, so that plays into the factor. This was probably.
You still had some narrow lanes there, though. They did start getting wider.
Aaron?
Yep.
I'm gonna make a point of order and ask to make a motion to extend the meeting, what, another 20 minutes, guys, or?
Yeah, 8:15.
Till 8:15 PM.
Yes.
Second.
second.
All right, motion approved, let's go.
This was the option that we had brought to you guys beforehand, this was our thought process. With regard to, we would eliminate parking on one side. Obviously, one of the reasons we don't want to is we would be eliminating that much parking on that side. In addition, you can see all the striping that goes on, and you can see comparatively kind of O&M costs in the future, and they align with what we identified below. This is really, the showstopper here is having to improve that K Street light after the village. The final option, and I don't know if this is, we're throwing all the ranges of options to you guys. In this scenario, you have extreme buffered, and you're not gonna like it, I understand that. That extreme buffered, and I get it.
One guy riding a bicycle.
I understand. This is probably the most safest alignment that we could do in the sense that. First of all, you eliminate parking, we know that's not gonna be popular, but people are safe. I mean, in essence, you're segregating out, you have some buffered pieces on both sides from that, so. With that, I think, what we at least identified as the 1, 2, 3, and 4, if I'm correct, go down to the bottom. So the one that we thought we wanted to go with you guys, we've had some reconsiderations just because of cost implications that have come out. This one, you're right, that's bare bones, we're trying to kind of meet at least their discussion with regard to making it safe, and people don't design to that
But
anymore.
where is that one not safe? You said with their discussion regarding safeness, where is that one not safe? I don't see anything on there that says that it's not safe. And you keep saying that word, that's what I'm curious
I'll
about.
say it again, like I said it
So
before.
TBD decided that that's not safe?
It's
But
not
yeah, you're
safe.
presenting.
The narrower lanes.
Safe.
Right,
But if you open a door and you're on a bicycle, you're gonna get smacked. So it is not safe.
No
Yeah,
doubt, but
very
if there was a bicycle problem here, I could understand that.
Well, we're
But we
trying to
haven't
create more
had-
bicycles in the city and pick people out of their cars.
I'd love to see that, but it doesn't happen.
Well,
And for us to spend money on that ahead
I'm
of
trying
time
to
just
be
seems silly.
up on number 3, but I don't know, but we can afford it. So there's a really nice European style project that is all over the world. We could be a world-class city if we had number 3, but we don't have world-class money to spend. You know?
Absolutely.
So, but number 1 is also a liability risk for
Number
getting
one is what
sued
we have,
and
and it's
HR.
fine. And you're
So,
gonna take small business parking away. I think that's a bad idea.
well, we're not trying to do policy for small businesses, we're trying to do policy for the whole community.
You're right, and that,
You know, and that
not for
they're
one
just-
guy riding a bicycle.
I mean, I love Suzanne's, but if it makes our city better, I'll lose a couple parking spaces if it makes the city better.
No doubt, and I would agree with that. But if we're catering to one person, maybe 2 on a bicycle, it seems silly to me.
We
Let's
also,
get some numbers on bicycles. Can we get that? Can we start doing something and look into that?
This is required, but the bike path is
Well, I
required.
asked you, dude.
So I mean, how much of this is grant? How much of this project is grant?
Is
Uh,
it a grant?
All of it is,
Yeah.
grant. there is no
So-
contribution from
So
the
we're
city
not
at this
spending
point.
our money.
So we don't have a lot of negotiation power.
For further down the road, for upkeep, maintenance, that's where, because they're not paying for that.
I don't,
Right.
I personally like option 3, not losing the parking. I like it both on the one side, because when you get down to the bottom, when you get to C Street, you're gonna be jumping across the street on a bike to go on the other side, because there's gonna be no sidewalk going down Alder, Olympic Highway. So I kind of like both bikes being on one side without losing the parking, if that was even possible, but
It's
that's
not.
not what you want to hear tonight.
No, it's not.
It's not.
I actually saw something very similar to option 3 in a different city in Washington, and it looked cluttered and unsafe. And I was originally in favor of option 3, but after hearing about the financial cost with the light and after seeing something similar to it in person, I'm against
I think
option
3
3.
is-
Counselor, I don't disagree with you. I actually agree with you. The reality is that we would meet all of the obligations with one. All I'm saying is TIB, the grant agencies, general consensus in the engineering field is that was the original design that they thought was correct. As they've implemented and done things, they've noticed that people get hit or doors hit people. So they're not recommending that one at this point. I get what you're saying.
For buffer bike lanes is where everybody's going.
You're
to.
spot on. I mean, you're
If we were in Portland, that would totally make sense for people or
Understand.
bikes on a regular. But if you look at percentage, how many people are on bikes here, it's probably 0.0001.
Agreed.
Percent of our population at this point. Do we want that to grow? Yes, absolutely, we do. However, we also have to consider our budgets.
Agreed.
It's real life. So, you know, I want a Maserati? Yeah, I can't afford it. So I drive my paid for car.
So, we don't have bike lanes there at all right now.
That's correct.
So that's part of the line into not being a lot of bikes there is they're not bike lanes. They're not the best roads to be on. There's 4 schools over there. We've got the high school, the junior high, the middle school, and an elementary school all feeding into that area. I think that could really change the bike path through there if there was actually a bike lane to go on. And when I'm thinking about kids going down that road, I want them to have a little bit of a buffer. You know, in the middle school, the high school, the junior high, those are all drawing from not just all of the city, but out in the county as well. So it's not just, you know, you've got, what is it, Mountain View over there? That's just the local community, not getting a lot of young kids going through that road. I don't want them on that road on a bike anyway. But middle schoolers, like, yeah, I could see that. I know a lot of, like, I rode a bike to middle school. I don't know how common that is anymore, but that's the road I would have taken. So I'd rather have a buffer there. Definitely get it. I don't want to take option number 1 away from the community when we take that in there. But buffers are important, and I don't know, but also I would say no to 4, just because that's our 3rd high price option. And I don't think we can sell that to our business community to take away all their parking and add a whole lot of lines.
And do we know the price of everything for these plans at all? Estimate?
Not 100%, but if you scroll down, Mary, to the bottom, we've identified, we gave you a low, medium, high range.
It's to be able to do a cost assessment on the whole thing, you have to have the whole layout. You have to know what all the impacts are.
At the
'cause it's a really
intersections.
long
It is.
thing. You know, we'll almost have a mile worth.
And nine intersections. So.
And staff did go through, we have vetted through, we tried to see all options through TIE, the funding agency, and they were like, bike lanes are a must, no matter what.
Right.
So, but we did ask that question. And their response was a little bit about like Tom's saying, yes, these don't get used, because that was kind of our, we don't have a lot of bike traffic with our saying, hey, move this. They were like, absolutely not, it has to be in there, because we didn't see the traffic, and they also did say, if you put them in, they will come, kind of. But
The reality is, you're right. I mean, we could say, no. Take back your $3.5 million, do not approve it. And I'm candidly, I'm just struggling. We could say that, but the reality is that we need this to be repaid. So that, I mean, and I'm just saying that honestly, from a staff perspective, I think ultimately having a new road is that important to us. So we will figure out some sort of compromise, or try to at least, because you don't throw back $3.5 million for just asphalt, which in essence, that's gonna buy.
So can we, as a council, agree on, we need to perhaps narrow it down to 2 options, and perhaps at this point, 1 and 2 for financial reasons? Obviously, 3 would be the dream, but we've got to narrow it down here. Would there be anybody here opposed to narrowing it down to 1 and 2 for the moment?
Oh, no, I would want the public to be involved in all 4 options. This has already been vetted.
Understand.
We're stating this to the public, all
Yeah,
4
okay,
options, but
yeah.
we need to give them what's called a strip map.
Yeah.
Showing what, and so we only want to produce 1 map possible and not both. So, I mean, staff's recommending number 2, that this is a plan that's a little further developed along than
Right.
these conceptual sketches. You see what I'm saying? We have a mile long worth of striping to show on a sheet. So if I'm a business owner, I can sort of see. And so we really wanted to go in the meeting with a large strip map of one of the options, but show them this whole thing.
Got it.
I mean, we don't want to, we're gonna show them this whole. But that way I could show how they were rated, what decision you wanted to sort of go with. As sort of a preferred, if I can get some sort of consensus on one of them, that would be helpful. And that would be the map we would produce for the meeting, but we would show them all this other information.
And report back to you guys.
Well, I would go with option 2, staff recommendation also. It seems a little safer than 1, and then obviously 4 is just absolutely out, even though we should let the public look at it. I mean, that's no parking at all. So I would go with 2.
I have heard from some people that they're in favor of option 4. I'm against taking away parking. I think option 2 is probably, in my opinion, the best option. It's a lower cost. You're getting the parking for, Suzanne's or some of the businesses that need it. And you're still incorporating the bike lanes without shrinking the driving lanes too much. So I'm in favor of option 2.
If we rank choice, I would go 3, 2, 1.
All right, Tom?
Yeah, I'd give it to number 2. I forgot about the shrunken driving lanes that we're dealing with too in option 1, which is.
What do you think, Melissa?
I think 2 is our best spot.
We'll present them all, you guys.
Yeah,
We'll present
yeah,
them all,
yes,
and
absolutely.
we will listen to folks that, that. The other option will also tell them kind of the caveat that we have to deal with. To repair our dang road, we have to meet certain conditions, unfortunately, so.
I mean, I think whatever we do, once they get used to it, they're gonna love it, because that's a terrible road.
Well, this is Shelton. In the beginning, they're all gonna hate it because there's change. So let's just be realistic. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Road service.
Yeah, everything else they'll be mad about, right? We've been there.
Like they love Coda Street.
We hate change here. It's just who we are. It's part of our culture, right? It's okay. We understand that. We get used to it after a while and forget. It's all good. So,
So Aaron, could you just go over the public outreach format? So we're gonna have a neighborhood meeting or a community meeting. It's likely we're gonna find like the community credit union or something where we can go have it there. So we're up in the neighborhood. And then we're also talking about going out and using our community engagement specialist here and probably putting out some sort of a web thing and getting people where they can fill out some comment cards on the options they like online. So if they can't attend the meeting, at least they could see something online. And I don't know if you have any other ideas of something you folks would like to see, or I want to make sure we do enough outreach though, right? That we try to get to everybody is what the goal is here.
We do the
Ranked
outreach, I
choice
think
voting?
people-
Can we do ranked choice voting? Because I think we compromise on the two eventually, but I think would show people's preferences, like whether we want to go high end or whether we want to go bare bones. But I think if we did ranked choice voting, that would take a pulse of the community. And I think we'd end up with the compromise that this council has come up with is, we think number two is probably the best compromise. But I think ranked choice voting would be the way to go when we bring it to the public.
We can bring a box there. How
Yeah.
we can vote on it.
Yeah,
I
sure.
think that when you do that.
Make it
outreach, though, that
confidential.
A lot of businesses are gonna wanna know up there. How are we gonna do it? I mean, I know this is just early stage, they're gonna wanna know in advance. When are you gonna block my business?
Oh, yeah.
Are we gonna do it in sections? Are we gonna do it all at once? Are you gonna just plow through it and then? Nobody's gonna be getting to my coffee stand so they're gonna wanna know that stuff. So when we do the outreach, we should probably have answers for that. That's gonna be, I'm telling you, that's gonna be a huge, huge question. How long is my business gonna be blocked?
Understood.
You know, so.
That's it, you guys.
Okay.
No, I appreciate it. Counselor, I appreciate your comments because I agree with you for the most part. It's just, this is an expensive game that we're in, trying to maintain these roads and, the numbers that they talk about anymore, fixing a mile of road, nobody can do it anymore. I mean, you've got to get grants to make that kind of stuff happen. So I appreciate the conversation, I really do, because we've gone over it too internally ourselves with that.
So if we had a robust funding internal program, our transportation benefit district, we wouldn't be going out for grant dollars, right? And then we would be able to control the project ourselves.
Agreed.
But again, that would be significant on the citizens. So, TIB was the funding agency and we were lucky to get awarded this grant.
Absolutely appreciate getting $3 million of money to
Yes.
Center City. Granted, we have to jump through hoops, but that is what you have to do. Is what you have to do. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not fond about having to change our fire flow every 3 years and having them tell us that we have to build another tank either.
Yeah.
But that's just what it is. That's the game. So we go after money and we ask for it. Well, we get it.
Not easy issues, you guys. Appreciate your feedback. I do.
Right. So
That is the end of the staff reports for the evening. I appreciate you staying a few minutes later.
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
So does council have any new items for discussion?
I do. I just have something. I'll be real quick. A couple weeks ago, we discussed with Judge Greer and Chief Costad about the public camping ordinance, and I asked if people who are being contacted or arrested involving that, if they are receiving resources for housing, and the answer was no. So I wanted to ask council's opinion. I have a pamphlet here for housing services. This is another one for just community services. I wanted to know what council's thoughts or opinions are about providing these resources to our court and to our officers when they're dealing with this, so that they have the materials needed to help people get into a positive space, a positive path forward. So anybody have any feedback on that?
The county, is that the one the county puts out?
Yeah, I didn't get time to copy everything, but I got these actually at the local DSHS office.
Oh, yeah, I think,
So
the
I
county
can hand
puts,
this over to you.
I think that they should be, should have these.
Yeah, I think they should too.
Yeah, I think that they're actually going out somewhere. So yeah, I don't have a problem with being handed out. to
Great.
people.
That's fine with me.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
All right.
Any other ideas?
Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm in a leadership meeting tomorrow morning with the folks and I will chat with them about it.
Okay.
And then can you email that?
I can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
I'm not gonna do board report, but I was at the Board of Health today and just let everybody know that their measles is about 60 miles away. Not very many cases, about 8 cases. They're all related to the South Carolina 7 cases. So, but my point is, if you think you're sick and you might have symptoms of measles, call ahead. Don't go into emergency room or to clinic, put bumps on your body or any symptoms, because then you're gonna affect everybody in the waiting room.
No, and
So-
I have a quick kind of question for the council. I respect your guys' time on these study sessions that you all stay so late, because I know you're here early in the morning and you're still here. So Tom, I know that you are really busting to get here on time, but I'm wondering, would it be possible for study sessions, maybe we could consider bumping it to 5:45 or 5:30? Is that possible for you in your world, or is there of this discussion anyways?
I'm normally not as late as I was tonight. I could be here 15 minutes or earlier pretty reliably.
Would anybody be opposed at starting a little bit earlier in the future, just because I'm trying to respect your guys' time? I'm
I think that'd be a
flexible.
discussion, when we were to open up the protocol manual.
Right,
It's coming
we
up,
can,
so-
I was just
I
wondering.
mean,
if
I don't
anybody-
think earlier.
Yep, I'm good with it.
I'll do it at 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Obviously not making a decision on it tonight, but I just wanted to see if anybody would be hard opposed on
I'm good with it.
starting a little bit.
Anyway.
Okay, great, okay, cool, thank you.
Mention it to her. It's back, make sure that, I'm sure.
Oh, right. Good call, thank you so much. Right, does anybody else have anything for the good of the matter? Okay, so, let's take a look here. It is. The study session is adjourned at 8, is that 13? 8:13 PM, thank you. My watch has a really weird font and my 3 and 5 are hard to tell.
That's been broken for about a month.
Fixed
Huh?
tomorrow.
Okay. It's been about a, it's been,
Focus, focus.
it's been about a month, but it throws me off.
I know, I kept
I was
looking up
also
there
gonna
too.
call you then.
So we can do that, is that.
Thank you. I was actually gonna give this to Mark. So